Pacifist Gladiator is here, and she is amazing. Hi, Casual Raccoon here, and today we are talking about Blue-Black Rebecca deck profile. But before we start, let me know in the comments what is your favorite Dressrosa type card. And now, without further ado, let's begin. Leader. Rebecca is a new leader introduced in OP04 Kingdoms of Intrigue. She is dual color card blue-black that gives her access to the best control cards in the game. Her power is 5000, she has 5 life. You might ask, why dual color leader has 5 life and not 4? For a very simple reason. Rebecca is one of a few leaders that can attack. Her effect reads: this leader cannot attack. Activate main once per turn, rest 1 Dawn. If you have 6 or less cards in your hand, look at 2 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card and add it to your hand. Then trash the rest. Obviously, being unable to attack with a leader might seem like a big disadvantage, but it's a good thing in this deck, as we will be resting Rebecca for different reasons. Her main effect is amazing. It intensifies you to play your cards or use them as counter to stay on 6 or below hand cards count. Optimally, for 1 Dawn investment, you will be drawing a card every turn. That's pure value, but there is more. You get to choose one of 2 cards. The only requirement is that it must be Dressrosa type. Spoiler, we run 41 of them in a deck. And you trash another, which will make a lot of sense later. Searcher. Drawing a card each turn is pretty good, but what is even better? A dedicated searcher. We already know from our leader's effect that we want to play a lot of Dressrosa type cards, and Dressrosa has a dedicated searcher in OP04, Rebecca character card. Coincidence? I think not. 1 cost, 1k counter, 2000 power. Effect reads: on play, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type cards other than Rebecca and add it to your hand. Then trash the rest. As with any black searcher, we pick 1 card and trash the other 2. It's important because we are filling up our trash fast this way, which we can later use to our advantage. As with any searcher in the game, I believe it's always correct to play 4 of them to make our deck as consistent as possible. 2k counters. As a rule of thumb, we start deck building with 12 2k counters. If possible, we want them to have Dressrosa type, so we can pick them with our leader or searcher. We pick 4 copies of Bartolomeo. Dressrosa type checked. 2k counter checked. And on top of that, a blocker. This card is definition of utility. We pick 4 copies of Gyatz, another Dressrosa 2k counter that has some utility. His effect reads: on play, up to 1 of your Dressrosa type characters can also attack active characters during this turn. Such unique utility can come in handy, especially versus Zoro and Law. Unfortunately, we don't have any additional Dressrosa type 2k counters. We have some interesting choices, which character to play as our last 4 2k counters. Some players choose Blue Kea. That helps you to wash your hands from cards you don't need and fill your trash faster. However, I pick another interesting character. 4 copies of Black 3 cost Tashigi. It's not only 2k counter, but also a 4k power character with an effect that complements removal based on character cost. Dressrosa package. 4 copies of Leo and 4 copies of Cross. Bread and butter of the deck. We are always happy to see them in our opening hand. Leo, 1 cost, 2000 power character that reads: on play, rest your leader. If your leader has the Dressrosa type, KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. Then trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. This little guy is a powerhouse. Absolute bane of existence for Zoro and Law. Trashing 2 cards from the top of the deck help us fill up trash faster, which is important for our game plan. Kyros, also known as Toy Soldier, 3 cost, 5000 power character that reads: if this character would be KO'd, you may rest your leader, or 1 Corrida Coliseum instead. On play, if your leader is Rebecca, KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. Then trash 1 card from the top of your deck. Similar as Leo, good removal card, especially versus deck like Zoro and Low, but also a character card that can attack without commitment. Additionally, he will always stick to the board thanks to the possibility of resting leader or Colosseum stage instead of him being KO'd. Immortal Soldier, swinging without dawn commitment every turn, just beautiful. KOing one cost character is good, but what if I tell you that there is more? Let me introduce you enabler of the deck. Olympus, 4 cost, 5000 power character that reads: activate main, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost during this turn and trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. Then KO one of your Dressrosa type characters. So, with Olympus effect, our Leo and Kyros can KO 5 cost characters. Whitebeard players literally shaking right now. There are some more combos that I will talk about later in tips and tricks section. The only downside is that we must KO Dressrosa type character for his effect, but here comes in handy Kyros Immortality or our cheap searcher. The Blocker. 4 copies of Sabo. 5 cost, 6000 power character that reads: Blocker, on play, none of your characters can be KO'd by effects until the start of your next turn. Then draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. The best black blocker. 6000 power forces our opponent to attack for a higher numbers and makes countering them easier. On top of that, we have 1 turn without worrying about our characters being KO'd. Filtering hand cards and filling up trash from second part of effect is just pure synergy for our deck. Combo. Often our win condition / finishing turn. 7 cost Monkey D. Luffy and Gum Gum King Kong Gun. For these 2 combo pieces we are trashing all those cards through the course of the game. Luffy, 7 cost, 7000 power character, doesn't seem like anything special until you read his effect. This character can also attack active characters. Activate main once per turn, return 7 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Set this character as active. Then this character will not become active in your next refresh phase. Amazing effect that helps us take over any board. If our opponent doesn't answer Luffy, game is pretty much over. By attacking twice we can either clear their board, also from active characters, or just swing for big numbers into the opponent's leader. But that's not all, we can pair Luffy with Gum Gum King Kong Gun for even more extra pressure. This event card reads: main, up to one of your Dressrosa type characters gain plus 6000 power during this turn. Then, if you have 15 or more cards in your trash, that card gains double attack during this turn. Using this combo, we essentially spend 3 dawn to attack for 13,000 power with double attack on top twice in our turn. If we decide to attack opponent's leader and they can't counter or block it, they will lose 4 life in 1 turn. Thanks to that, we can completely ignore attacking our opponent, which is perfect for Rebecca, and rely on our late game combo. However, if our Luffy doesn't stick to the board, we can always use Gum Gum King Kong Gun on any Dressrosa character. With such buff, even Leo can transform into a threat. We obviously play 4 copies of Luffy and King Kong Gun. Stage. But what if I tell you that Luffy can attack the turn he is played? Yes, it's possible. The best black stage, Corrida Coliseum, that reads: if your leader has the Dressrosa type, your Dressrosa type characters can attack characters on the turn in which they are played. Simple, straightforward and powerful. Especially against decks that like to go white, like Zoro and Low. Playing stage early and then playing, for example, Kyros to clear one character with effect and attack another is just devastating for our opponent. As we only need 1 in certain matchups, we play 3 copies for consistency, but if you expect slower meta, you can cut it for other cards. Boss Monster, 10 cost Kuzan. At first, it may seem like an odd choice. I saw a lot of Rebecca lists playing Gum Gum Red Rock, and even though it's a strong removal card, we are wasting a turn to remove 1 threat without impacting our board state. However, if we play 10 cost Kuzan, we can get similar results and hard to remove character on board. With Kuzan's effect, our removal cards can target higher cost characters every turn. As this is not our win condition and more of a tech card for a slower matchups like yellow and there is no counter power, we play only 2 copies. Last 5 slots. In those slots I put 2 copies of Ideo as a simple searchable blocker to store the game until we can find Sabo or Luffy. It gives us, in total, 6 1k counter blockers and 4 2k counter blockers in a deck. Last card is removal event of choice, that is 3 copies of 3000 words. KOing characters is good, but in a meta where 5 cost Marco is a threat, 3000 words is a blessing. If we are able to combo it with Tashigi or Lumbus or Kuzan, we basically have a Red Rock 4/4 Dawn. Tips and tricks. Our decision making is flexible with this deck and correct choices feel rewarding. Here are some things to remember when playing Rebecca. Drawing a card with Leader's effect is only possible when you have 6 or less cards in hand. Remember to counter accordingly to not flat your hand, preventing yourself from using an effect. If you have Kyros on board, you can use Lumbus ability and target Kyros for KO cost target, then rest Leader or Stage to keep him alive. Possible, rest a Stage as it allows you to still play Leo with his effect this turn. We can get even better results with Sabo, as he prevents all our characters from being KO'd, hence we can use Lumbus effect for free. Use your reducers to clear the threats with higher cost. We are playing Shigi or Lumbus and Kuzan, which allows us to remove higher cost character in the following combinations. With Tashigi effect, Leo and Kyros can KO 3 cost character. 3000 words can target 7 cost character. With Lumbus effect, Leo and Kyros can KO 5 cost character. 3000 words can target 9 cost character. With Kuzan effect, Leo and Kyros can KO 6 cost character. 3000 words becomes Red Rock and can target 10 cost character. You don't need to attack after standing 7 cost Luffy. Most of the time, it's smarter to just leave him standing so he can be targeted by enemy attacks. When putting cards back in the bottom of the deck for Luffy's effect, you can arrange them in any order you want. Take into consideration which cards you want to draw and when, and put them accordingly. Keep in mind, you can only draw Dressrosa type card from Rebecca effect. You can buff any Dressrosa character with Gum Gum King Kong Gun. Even though Luffy is the best target, don't be afraid of using it on other characters, like Leo or Kyros, if occasion presents itself. Gum Gum King Kong Gun always buff plus 6000 power. 15 cards in trash are only needed for second effect, double attack. If you don't need double attack but additional pushing power would be useful, don't wait until you have 15 cards in trash and play it right away. You can prevent Kyros from being KO'd by resting Leader or Stage, so attack with him every turn if needed. Your opponent will have hard time answering him, as most of the time your leader will be standing, preventing her father from dying. Summary. If you like reactive game style or played control decks in other card games, Rebecca is a deck for you in OP04. Drawing cards, removing opponent's characters, and finishing the game after starving your opponent. If it sounds good to you, just give Rebecca a try. But that's it for today. If this video was helpful to you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss content like that in the future. Thank you so much for watching, see you in the next video, take it easy.